Check y'all. Okay, here we go. Welcome. I see some people are coming in. Welcome. Hey, mom. Hey, cuz. I see you guys coming in. I see you guys coming on. Appreciate you guys tuning in. We'll give it a couple more seconds to let a couple more people come on in. Um, I got a comment. Hey, mom. Uh, love you, mom. She's so supportive. But welcome, everyone. Thank you guys for tuning in for this is actually my fourth episode. Last week was kind of like a special thing, but this is actually my fourth official episode. My brother. Where my goal is to encourage men, one man to another, one brother to another. This week is a really special episode, one I'm really excited about. Especially with us being quarantined and everything, I haven't gotten a chance to just spend time with my brothers like I typically do. So I get a chance to bring both of my actual blood brothers online, and we get to talk about building up the male community from a brotherhood standpoint, building up male bonding, increasing unity, and everything like that amongst men. So I'm not going to sit here and ramble too much for you guys because I know y'all tired of hearing my voice every week. So first, I'm gonna bring on my oldest brother on, and that's C Clarence, whatever you want to call him. We call him C. So I'm gonna bring C on. You go ahead and talk to the camera, big bro.
Hey, how's everybody doing out there?
How's everyone doing?
How's everyone doing? That's all I got to say.
Right.
No, appreciate the invite, bro.
I appreciate you for coming on, man. And then of course, my other big brother, but not oldest, my other big brother, athlete, philanthropist, billionaire, playboy, all of the above. Jamil Rush, bring him on.
Absolutely not playboy. I'm very married. Very married. What's going on, Reese? It's good to talk to you, man.
I'm glad to have you on, man. You see, we got the matching shirts on. If y'all can't tell,
Ew.
We try to do it up big for the chat.
You can know me as the middle brother or the only brother with a hairline. Let's see.
We ain't gonna start that today. Right. We ain't gonna start that today.
Man. So man. Ooh, what we're gonna try to do. Yeah. So without further ado, I only want to take up an hour of you guys' time. So without further ado, I'm going to jump straight into our first question of discussion. Like I said, the goal here is to just talk about things that we can do to increase the bonding and love amongst the male community. So the first thing that I want to ask you guys as my brothers are, what exactly is a brotherhood in your own words? Like, how would you guys describe what a true brotherhood is? Whichever one of you guys want to take that first, go ahead.
Right. See,
I'll let the little brother answer first.
I was gonna say age before beauty, man.
I'll let you answer first, bro. Since you the best of everything, and why before we start all this, it's me and Reese against Mill. So
always me and C against Mill.
Nobody in last place has a rival. That's why. It's interesting, right? Like this idea and concept of true brotherhood. And I was thinking about it after you sent the questions over. Because I think many people will say that brotherhood it's not restricted to the blood relationships that you have. And just because you are born brothers, that doesn't mean that you actually have the relationship that will represent a true brotherhood. And I've always been fortunate that my brothers have always also been my friends at the same time. And they've also been my rocks. And I'm sure we'll talk about things like when Dad passed away and how we leaned on each other and kind of what CC means in our lives as being our older brother when we're beefing, right?
Yeah.
Another too. So for me, true brotherhood, it's about a person that you can depend on. It's not that they're perfect. It's not that you always get along. but it is that you know that they care, and you know that when it comes down to it, push comes to shove, that person's going to be in your corner, even if it's in your corner to tell you that you were wrong. That person's definitely going to be there for you.
Yeah, that's absolutely true. I don't want to start talking yet, so I'm gonna let CC say his piece. It looked like he got some notes that he took over there. So go ahead.
Yeah, I put some notes together because it's an interesting topic, and being the oldest brother, you have to show more leadership. So to me, if I fell, y'all fell, because I set the bar. So by setting that bar and an example of being the eldest brother, or the oldest son, should I say, to show y'all that the love is unconditional. I support y'all. I cherish y'all. I basically idolize y'all for your accomplishments and the things that y'all got going on, because there's no envy. And if you hold an envy or malice in your heart towards your brother, you're not going to be successful. So to see y'all succeed, I succeeded, because it's keeping y'all out of harm's way. And that's the meaning of a brother to me, is making sure that y'all okay. And if y'all okay, I'm okay. So, it's a very competitiveness with the brothers, so and I know a lot of people on here listening that Mill and Reese are very competitive, but Mill is very competitive towards me.
I see some hearts coming in. I got the live stream over here. See, and I see, as soon as you said Mill is very competitive, a bunch of hearts started popping up on the screen over here.
I feel like people like that. It's trying to be shady.
And that's the ideal. So, like, one of the things is, like, we all yearn to beat your father. And that was my goal, to beat my father in anything that I had to do. But Mill, that's his goal, is to beat me. This Game 7, NBA Finals, everything. Go home or go hard. That's Mill. But I love him, both of them, unconditionally, because they give me stuff too. They give me a sense of direction. And one thing about brothers, you keep your secrets. So we do have 4 sisters. So we don't really talk amongst the sisters like that, because we share things only brothers can share. And we go out, we do things together. And then you get the sisters that say, "Oh, well, why we ain't get the invite?" Well, y'all girls, y'all can do your own thing. Y'all can do your own twist. This is the time for us to bond. And if we haven't seen anybody in 2-3 weeks, a month, or so forth, it's not like, oh, I haven't seen my brothers, I don't like my brothers. No, we pick up because we all have lives. So, like I said, I thank both of y'all for being my younger brothers, because I idolize both of y'all and your accomplishments as well. So it's kind of hard to be the big brother. The biggest, smallest brother, should I say.
Yeah, so like, I was listening to C talk and listening to what Mill said, right, guys? So I tell this story usually to pick on C, but I kind of feel like I'm the youngest, of course. You could tell by this great by the no gray in my hair, no gray in my beard. You could tell that that I'm the youngest of everyone. But when I think of it as the youngest, there were some things that, and my father was an amazing man, but there were some shortcomings that naturally every human being has, right? So for me as the youngest, I always depended on Jamil and CC to kind of fill in those gaps where, Dad may not have excelled in this particular area, but I had my 2 big brothers to look to kind of fill in those gaps. And one story I messed with C about, I was about 7 or 8 years old, and I see my sister said, "Don't bring it up." But I was 7 or 8 years old, and I'm out playing with a cap gun, little orange cap gun, and shooting at it, and CC pulled me aside, and he pulled out an actual gun. He said, "Don't play with guns, man. That's not exactly what he said, but that was the message he sent across was don't play with guns, man. Like these things hurt. It's not something to play with. And to kind of instill that in me at such a young age, I was able to kind of grow up and steer away from that. Because that was something that he had went through. That was something that he had saw, and he kind of put that in me as a big brother. And I mess with him a lot about the story, but in all honesty, like I'm really thankful um that he had the wherewithal to do that. And CC didn't. Me and Jamil grew up in the same household, but CC was older, so he was out the house. But he would always come in and check on us, and every time he came in, there was always an impactful conversation that he left with us, just about some of the things that he knew that we may have been dealing with our father. Um, but I'm not going to tarry on that topic anymore. I'm going to go on to the next question. And the next question is, what aspects of a true brotherhood do you feel that we excel in as men? Like, what are some things that you think men are just good at, naturally in being brothers?
I'll talk.
CC, I guess. Go ahead.
You want CC to go?
I was going to tell CC to go first because he went second
No, go ahead.
the last time.
He got, he got the notes.
So basically, you as are you talking about general men, Reese, or are you talking about as brothers between the three of us? Because if you're talking about males excelling, you are what you are. You are what you put in. You get out of life what you put in life. It's kind of hard because it's like a catch-22 with that, because you have some people who are envious of you excelling. To whereas us is like, I can commend y'all about what y'all doing, but other people, like you got other people that look at your excelling and your growth in life, and they hate on you, and that tears down the black man. So when you sit there and you're telling somebody, okay, I I look at you and I say, yeah, congratulations, but when you leave, the hell with him, the hell with them. I can't see that in that person, that growth. But with you guys, like I said, any accomplishments y'all make, any downfalls y'all make, I'm there to support y'all because that's who I am. So just to basically to really touch base on excelling as a male, it starts with the foundation, the support that you're around. Whoever you put yourself around, you can put yourself in a bad environment and it's not going to happen. You're not going to have the support. But if you put yourself in a positive surroundings, you'll have people that's pulling you up instead of pulling you down. So
That's true. No?
Yeah, and I agree with C, right? It's hard to talk about everybody in the community in terms of like all males are good at this or all males are good at that. But I think what you're starting to see now is like men, at least in 2020 and maybe a couple of years before it, like men recognizing that we don't have to be these fictitious superheroes. Like we don't have to be these fake hardcore exteriors that don't have any emotions, that don't need to depend on anybody, that can't say I love you, right? Like that stuff like that. So in like this broader shift in male culture, especially black male culture, we're starting to see men step up and say like, no, listen, I need my support system. And my support system includes my significant other and my wife, and that's important. But you know what? I got my friends and I got my homies and my day ones and my blood brothers that's completely necessary for me. And I think it's in those moments when men actually step back and get out of like this macho-ness of like, I gotta show everybody how tough I am and show that vulnerability. Then that's where you see like this real brotherhood start to emerge, man. And I get that from you all as my blood brothers, but also I got some friends that have been with me that are just as close with you guys as they are with me, right? Like, so my closest friends, C call his little brother, like C checks my friends,
right?
Right, and the people that I grew up with ended up being super close with Reese, and vice versa. So that it was only when I realized, like, no, I need them. And if I don't have these people in my life, I won't be able to get through, and I don't have my energy and I don't have my support system to get through. So I think that's what men really start to excel at, and is when they start to depend on each other, be vulnerable, and that they build up the right support system that's going to be there for them through the tough times.
Yeah, and I completely agree with the things that you guys are both saying, especially that whole little superhero thing. I think sometimes as men, we do feel like we have to shoulder everything like alone, and we have to be tough, and we can't show any chinks in our armor. And I do, that's one good thing I will say that kind of came from the social media area. I think that it's kind of teaching people that you aren't alone in these feelings. You aren't alone when you're feeling weak. And I think that people are more open to kind of communicating those things nowadays. Part of the reason that like this whole my brother thing got placed on my heart, Mill, and you could testify to this. Like growing up, there would always be people at our house, right? Like it's always people in and out of mommy's house growing up, Mill. And like one thing I would notice, I remember one of our friends, Dre, I want to say, not Jackie's Dre, the other one, Buggery Dre. And I remember talking to him one day, and his words to me was, I really like hanging with you guys because we have fun, we have a good time, but we're not doing anything dumb that's going to get me locked up or put into jail or anything like that. And it was kind of from that moment that I realized, like men need like almost guidance in a sense. They need to be surrounded healthily. And like they aren't necessarily looking to do like knucklehead things. I think they're kind of looking for acceptance. They're looking for bondage. They're looking for not bondage, but like bonding. They're looking for just that time to spend together. And that's kind of why the my brother thing was on my heart. I was like, there are men out here hurting, and they're looking for like something like this to kind of be able to get into, but they don't necessarily know how. So I like kind of aim to be that bridge, the bridge that gap. You got a comment from my band James, safe haven for the brothers. That's exactly the way that I could see it. So I know I sent the one about what do you feel that we're lacking, but I'm going to skip ahead on that one for now. We may come back to it. But Mill, you kind of mentioned this the showing love thing in your remark. Why do you think that we tend to avoid showing love to other men? If either one of you guys want to take that question.
It's a lot.
What was that, Reese? Say it again.
Why do you think we tend to avoid showing love to other men? And anybody watching this, any of the commenters, if you want to chime in on these questions, by all means, put a comment up. And we can kind of discuss that as well if you're a commenter. So whichever one of you guys, go ahead, Neil.
And I think it's a lot of layers to it too, right? I think there's the piece of weakness and vulnerability. Like if I say I love you, it shows that like I'm weak, right? This facade that love equals weakness, or depending on someone else equals weakness. It's the era of like the macho generation and the misogyny that tends to exist within our culture too, of this idea that men don't have feelings for other men, right? Like that's gay. That's not gay to say that I love my brother. So that's another piece. I think some of it is that some of us never got that growing up from another male or a male figure, and we weren't able to get it expressed appropriately. And that includes like there's a fraction of us that grew up without present fathers. There's also a fraction of us that grew up with like emotionally distant fathers who were the right providers and all those other things, but they didn't know how to unpack emotions themselves. So they never provided that type of atmosphere for their sons as well. So when we get older, we just don't know how to express it in a healthy fashion because we've never seen it emulated before inside of our lives. So I think there's all these other layers of things that come on pack. And you know this, Reese, like we're intentional about saying it with each other. I say it to
right.
Like I'll say I love you in a heartbeat, and like it doesn't faze me. And I think sometimes we get new friends, and I'll be like, "Yo, man, love you," and they you can see them sometimes.
Right.
Like I don't know what to do with that. Go through. But it's important to me that I express that because you want to give somebody their flowers while they're here. I don't want you to be thinking about, does this person like me? Like, no, I love you, man. I appreciate you. You're meaningful inside of my life, so I'm going to tell you that straight up. And I think that's way more masculine than hiding your emotions.
Yeah, and that's real. And just to piggyback off of that, if you guys don't know, I'm over like maybe a 20 male men's choir at church. It's currently it's of course on hold because of COVID, but when I first started working with those guys, it was maybe like 3 or 4 years ago, and I would end rehearsals intentionally and be like, "I love y'all," and of like the 20 or 25 of them, probably like 21 of them would look at me like I was crazy, just saying "I love you" to them. And I have a joke, and I'm not sure. Keith might be watching on YouTube. If you're watching on YouTube, I see I got one viewer on YouTube right now, and then everyone else is on Facebook. But I would mess with Keith, one of my buddies, and every time I would say "I love you" to him, he would just be like, "Yep," and walk away. And like, so one day I said something to him about it. I was like, "Yo, every time I say I love you, man, you say yep." So now every time it's all love when I see him, but I think that in a sense it's something that we're not even conscious of, like that we're not even conscious that we're doing it in a sense, because you're, like you said, you're not used to it. You haven't heard it growing up. You haven't heard your father say it. Like if you've heard it, you definitely hasn't been from like other men. So I agree wholeheartedly with what you're saying. So you want to chime in on that question? Um,
Yeah. Well, one of the things is as far as that is like a masculinity identity. So should I say, because as a male, we tend to teach our children not to cry, especially with boys. We teach them not to cry, man up, suck it up, get up. And one of the things that people don't know, I am a youth advocate. I do coach football, and I'm kind of guilty of that as well because I coach little kids. They get hurt, they cry. I sit there, suck it up, you know. So it comes from that stigma where you instill into the young generation that a young boy shouldn't cry, and we put that identity out there that okay, you're a man, and then you have young boys in the house in a single parent house, and then you have the mothers telling them you're the man in the house, and I think that's wrong for a single woman to sit there and say that you're the man in the house because you're still a child. And this child is going to go through problems and have issues and cry and so forth. And then what happens is the mother say, man up. So at a young age, you're taught to man up, and you taking all the emotions away from a child where he can't grow and express his feelings. So when someone tells him, oh, I love you, he may not have heard that before, that another man loves him or cares for him, or just generally want to wrap his arms around him and say, come on, let's walk. I have sons of my own, and I tell my sons all the time I love them, but I also tell them to stop acting like because some things that they do act like female traits. But in the same breath, I tell them I love you. I tell both of you guys I love you. I care for you. And it's not to say that I'm weak or anything. That's just my emotions, letting you guys know, because every day is not promised to either one of us. And I just let you know that I genuinely care about y'all. But in today's society, and that's what's wrong. And a lot of these youth are not being loved. So that's why we're getting all the chaos that we're getting out here now. And that's all I
see,
got to say about that.
you making some enemies in the comments. Our sister over there are getting on you. You tell her you love her, see, so she can get off your back.
I do love them. Who Missy?
No, that's Tasha.
Oh, Tosh, I love Tosh. I see the angry face. I ain't worried about that.
So one thing I want to add to what C said, because I think is real important, and I don't want to miss this, is like manhood has been so action oriented. This teaching of what manhood represents has always been, can you provide resources? Can you do things with your hands? This is how you stand up for your family in the face of danger. This is how you fight. Like all those things have traditionally been associated with manhood, and those are traits that we give down to our sons. But it's also the traits that when we mentor our younger brothers and sisters, man, the people in our hood, that's the stuff we talk to them about. But part of manhood that's real critical that we don't spend enough time on is teaching men how to be emotionally healthy. And if you're not talking to the young men that you're dealing with about, man, what does it feel like to cry? How do you cope in a healthy fashion? Why therapy is okay and why you need to learn all those techniques. Like, you're going to raise these real emotionally unavailable men that when they get into relationships and when they have to be in leadership roles, they don't know how to cope themselves, so they can't cope, teach others how to cope. And it becomes this system of just real unhealthy dealings with one another.
Yeah. That's I can't. So I don't think I've ever even told you guys this, guys. So after like Dad passed away, and if you guys viewing don't know, our father passed in 2010. It's a sudden death. We didn't know it was coming. The morning that he passed, I spoke to him. So after Dad passed away, I didn't cry for like maybe like after the funeral and stuff was over. Of course, like it took me like maybe like a year and a half to cry again. Like I was so I don't know, like just didn't have any healthy way to handle the emotions. And, as you guys know, right after Dad passed away, Reese got diagnosed with autism, and I was kind of struggling to find steady work. So it was a lot on me, and I never really took time to like handle it emotionally. Like I didn't know how to handle it emotionally. So I completely agree with like that sentiment of how do you teach? Like you can't teach a man. Well, the men don't know how to handle their emotions in a healthy way. And I completely agree that that's more of a part of manhood than how hard you could punch or how fast you could jab or how many guns you got or how many basketball stats. I think like can you be emotionally healthy? Can you say I love you? Can you give somebody a hug? I think those things are way more healthy, way more manly traits than anything. It's another story I got for you guys, and I still know I got still got more questions. But another story I got. So James is commenting, and so last week maybe James had called me. One of the guys commented. I put his name up here. He had called me, and I didn't answer. Then like the next day he called me, and I didn't answer. And like the day after that he called me, and it wasn't like an intentional thing. Like each time he called me, I just was kind of like busy. Um, and like after the third one, he sent me a text and it was just like, "Hey, like, did I do something to offend you?" And when he sent me that message, it like to me, I paused for a second and I was like, before we even had the conversation, bro, like, first, thank you because there are so many different ways that you could have handled that. And the way that I see more commonly something like that being handled is 8, 9, 10 a year, 2 years go by, and I just never hear from him again. But he had the wherewithal to say, "Hey, are we cool? Are we good?" And I'm like, "Oh no, that wasn't it." I was just kind of caught up. But I was like, "Thank you for doing that," and not just kind of like kicking me to the curb. Like I appreciate that you respect my role in your life. I appreciate that you respect our friendship, our brotherhood that we've built, to the extent that you weren't willing to let it go that easily. Um, so James, I appreciate that. I know I told you this in private. I want to tell you that in public. I do appreciate you handling it that way. Um, cool. So with that being said, and now that we're on this like topic of like emotions and things like that, what are some things that we can do to increase support and bonding among men? Um, yeah. See, you've been quiet for a while.
What can we do to support each other? Um,
What can we do to
one of the
increase
things
it
is like,
amongst not just each other, but amongst like men in general? Like not just us in this
I mean,
live, of course, but for any man that may be watching this, or for any man that may watch this, what are some things that they can do to help increase support and bonding among men, to kind of break that stigma that we were just kind of talking about?
one of the things is like, I mean, you know how we do. We bond regardless. We go out, we go to dinner, we play basketball, we go out on outings, paintballers, and doing other things. Is that much? Um, I'm gonna just say like keep the hatred out of your heart, and ask the general questions, and just don't stop hating on each other. I really on that topic. it's kind of iffy to me, you know. So, I mean, I chime back in, but I let Mill answer that.
I appreciate you, brother. I love you.
I love you too.
You know, man, I think it's so many things we can do around this. So, you know, one of the things I think men do really well, either with their kids or when they're mentoring other young men, is like we find real good activities to do, right? So we'll find things like sports games or playing a sport or like going to work on the house or working on the car or like finding stuff that you could do with one another. So I think time is critical, right? Like just spending time. Um, with one another helps to build a relationship. The other piece is when you're talking to a young brother, it's not always like you don't always got to lecture them, right? Like I feel like we get into these spaces where we just start talking at young people for so long. And I know you got all this knowledge and all these things, and you got lived experience that you're trying to teach them, and that's real important. But if you just talk at them every time you get together, they're gonna shut down like that. So spend some time listening to the brothers that you're connected in with, right? Like ask questions, not questions about girls or the generic like how's school going. Like get deeper, like man, how you feeling about life? How's your family doing? How's that showing up for you? What are some of the things you're struggling with, man? Like asking those real hard questions that normalize this conversation of talking about feelings and emotions. And when you hear trigger words like, oh man, you might be depressed. Like maybe you should talk to somebody about that. Like normalizing conversations about feelings goes such a long way, man. Because it wasn't until that I don't have any kids, but I got plenty of young brothers that I've gotten to work with. And I don't learn about them until I just give them time to talk. So we'll be in the car, and the whole time I'll just ask them a bunch of questions, and they'll just be going, asking about things. I'm like, oh, what's going on with your family? What do you think about school and life? Like, what do you think about your future? Why don't you want to do that? Why are you struggling with it? And some young men have never been listened to, real talk, especially young black men. Like they've never
That's a word right there.
Like they've never been listened to, man. And if you just listen to them and actually listen, not to respond and lecture, but listen to hear what they got going on, you just teach them a whole different trick.
Man, that was a word right there. Some people have never been listened to. It's a real word right there. I think that goes a long way. Just taking the time to listen. I'll stay on this topic. I know this wasn't, something I sent to you guys in advance, but I just kind of heard you bring it up, Mil. So I had an episode with a really close friend who I don't like. I text with a lot, but I don't talk with a lot. And I pulled out my phone to call him over the weekend, and I stared at it for about 20 minutes because I was like, well, I never call him any other time, and what's he going to think if I call him? And I think last time I called him, it was because like someone passed away or like someone in his family was in the hospital. So I was like, well, I don't want to call him because he's going to think it's bad news. And I literally took me like a half an hour before I just dialed the number. And, he didn't end up answering. But like, as a person that's trying to break that stigma and trying to open up the conversation door, how do you kind of get yourself to that point where you're like, okay, like, see, I know you work with a bunch of kids in football, and Mill, I know everything that you do at the church with the youth ministry. Like, how do you even get to that point where it's like, okay, I'm going to ask the uncomfortable questions, I'm going to ask the hard questions, and I'm not going to build that surface relationship. How do you get to that point?
Yeah, see, man, I'll flip it to you because you're better than that than I am, even.
Hey, what as far as the kids talking to them, reaching them? I identify with the children that I teach. I know each child is have an individual mind, so you really have to identify with the kids that I deal with. You have a relationship with each one. Some of them is fun and games, some are strict. But all in all, you still have to be the friend, the disciplinarian, the mentor, the father figure, also the teacher. Because if you talk to some of the young men, you can hear some of the things like they don't know how to tie their ties, um, or they didn't have anything to eat today, or they didn't have lunch money, or they don't have sneakers, or they getting bullied as far as kids busting on them. So you identify with the kids that you deal with, and you just gravitate to them and just have individual conversations with them. Um, I learned it in the tenure that I was coaching. It didn't come easy because my mindset was thinking, okay, I'm out here, I'm coaching little league basketball, and I'm coaching little league football, and I didn't think that it was more to it. And then I mean, when I found out that kids have problems, outside of my own kids, is like, wow, now you got to be Dr. Phil on the football field, and it's not just to some of the boys, it's to some of the fathers that's out there, that's trying to get involved, or just came home from doing a bid, or struggling to find a job. And that's some of the things that talking to the men out there is like, okay, well, I have a network. Let me see if I can do this, with the fathers, and then with the boys as well. Like, we, Coach Ant is one of, my closest friends. Like, we come up with different things throughout the season to keep these kids occupied, and we have an open dialect with them. Like, if you need me, call me. I give every kid my phone number in the beginning of the season. If you need me, call me. And just because the season is over doesn't mean that I'm gonna stop talking to you, because I talk to kids that I've coached from 15 to 20 years ago, and they still call me for advice. And you know, you now they grown men, and you sitting there like, what do I say to this? Or so you just have to cipher through your experiences in life and talk to the kids, and just still try to be there for them. It's not easy by a long shot.
Yeah.
So I know when I grew up, they said it was a community to raise you. It takes a village to raise everybody. And now people turn a blind eye because they don't want to get involved. So if we stay community based and still try to raise each other, I think we'd do a lot better than what we are.
Yeah.
Go ahead,
So
Mill.
no, you good. You got it. That's awesome. See, from a commenter. But somebody showed love to you, bro. But one of my questions is, how do you get to that point? Not just with kids. So I think we do, largely speaking. No, not largely. I think we do a solid job of connecting with kids. But I'm talking about like our adult friends, right? So if one of my adult friends are hurting, like, how do I open up that door of conversation to say, what's going on with you, man? Like, how are you? Like, how do you kind of break down some of those walls that, as we mentioned earlier, may have been built up for years, depending on what their upbringing is of them not talking? How do you kind of break down those walls? If and anybody commenting again, if you have any suggestions for this one, what's some things you can do to break down the walls in an adult, to kind of get them, the adult man, to get them to be open to talking about their issues or their struggles or what it is that they may be going through.
And it's important, man. Like, I don't think I don't think there's any magic behind it, right? It's really this idea of time and consistency, right?
Mm-hmm.
People are measuring you against that all the time. Like, the first time I meet you, I'm not fit to give you my life story on day one. Like, that comes when the relationships build over time. And then, are you consistent in the way that I engage with you? And people are measuring your consistency at all times, not just in your dealing with them. So they're looking at the way you move. Are you talking about other people behind their back? How are you protecting people's information? What's your integrity like, right? So people are looking for you and measuring you in all of your spans of life, and they're watching you at all times. So when you put in that time and you show that consistency, then you ask those real questions, like those next level questions. I always joke with people, like, how you doing is a courtesy question. Like, I don't really care how you doing. If you say like, yo, how you doing? And somebody comes back with like, no, man, life is real hard. Most of the times we get taken aback, like, oh, wait, Like, you legit not doing good. I wasn't ready for that. I expected you to just give me the generic response. So sometimes you gotta ask, like, hey man, how's you doing? And if they give you the generic response, you come back with like, no, how are you really doing? Ask next level questions beyond just the surface thing of like, man, I asked him how he was doing. He said, good. I'm good. Right? Like, we know we had a trip one time before Reese when we went to go get one of our friends and he was kind of feeling down on a boat. And I was like, you gotta go get him. And he was like, I asked him if he was good, and he was good. He said, I'm good. And he was good. I had to go there and talk to him. But if you take that ownership of like asking that next level question, like, what does good mean? Like, tell me what does good mean? Like, what does that mean for you? What's really happening? To get people to give you more open-ended responses versus those classic closed ones. I think that's how you really get there.
That's bro. Yeah, I love, if he watching, I love him. I don't know if he's watching this episode right now, but I love you, bro. And I apologize. I ain't gonna put him out there.
I ain't say no names, man.
I ain't say no name, no blame. But he did. He sent me to the room to get him, and I said, yo, we out. He said, I'll be there later. I said, all right. But I know, like, and I was like, that's something I know that I struggle with. Like, I'm a big, like, hey, how you doing? Or like a, hey, I love you, bro. And Salima, she done put some comments up here. I put her name up here. Salima got on me one day for never really kind of digging deeper than like the how are you kind of question. So I think that's big. Like, how are you? I see a comment from Kelly right here. How are you really doing? That's the one. I think that's a big thing to have. And I do think timing is a thing. I think timing is a big thing. So I mean, you can't catch somebody in passing and get the real conversation. But I know I have some friends who, as I've gotten older, I'm going out of my way to make sure that we have the requisite time to have those conversations, right? So for me, if you're watching, my personal answer to this is like, if I think that, let's say, Mill, I think you're really going through something. I'm like, yeah, you good? Nah. All right. Well, look, you might not have no time if we both at mommy house and I'm coming in and you coming out, or, you coming out the church. We might not have time to do it then, but it could be a, yo, look, man, let's schedule some time to go out, get some food. I don't got no money. Don't worry about it. It's on me. Let's go out, have this conversation. Let's talk. Tell me what's going on. And we kind of feed off each other that way. I think that's kind of how it goes. I do agree that it takes some time. Like you said, like, you're not going to meet somebody for the first time, be like, hey, how you doing? I struggle with this. I'm dealing with this. I have these issues. I do agree with that. But I do think that as time goes on, that some things that you can do is, one, do more than just text. I know for me, I try to make, especially since coronavirus started and everyone had been locked away, I tried to make it my point. Initially, it was like every day I tried to call somebody, but that became like a bit much. But at least like every few days, I pick someone that I haven't talked to in a while, not try to give them a phone call. Just say, hey, how you doing? Are you busy? And about the phone calling thing, a good friend of mine told me one time, because I always worry that I'm like disrupting someone if I call them. And he told me the reason that you get a missed call notification is because if they're busy, they won't answer. So, and if they're busy at the time that you call them, they'll call you back when they're at a time where they can talk. So if you feel like you might be disrupting someone when you call them anyway. And that was good advice for me. So I just be calling people, and I'll ask if you're busy after I call them. But I think that, you get them on the phone, you talk to them, you get them out to a restaurant, or get them, if you're at a place and you could kind of duck off for a little bit to have like the real conversation. I think those things are really, really helpful to kind of getting people to open up. And I think once that trust is established, like once you are like, this is a trusted person in my life, then it's, all downhill from there. Like, you just go for hours once that part time hits.
And one thing I'll add is, man, like, you don't want to assume that everybody, you don't want to assume that everybody has the language to express themselves effectively too. Like, some people, like, all they know to say is good. So sometimes just ask, why? Like, I'm good. Why? Like, and they can talk to you about the real activities, and you can use those context clues of, if they start saying things that sound real negative, you can help to work with them through that piece. If they say some stuff that sound real positive, then you can sort of understand they're in a better place. But just that next level question helps too.
Look like we lost CC. C, you there? Can you hear us?
Coming back in.
It looked like Yeah, lost him. I lost his speed. Well, when he sorts it back out, he'll get back on. Um, but so I'll go into the next question, and he can chime in when he gets there. What are some practices that we have as brothers that you think will be beneficial for someone to watching to kind of like adapt or pick up, or some good things that we do that you think could be beneficial on like a widespread you know what I'm trying to say, like a widespread thing. Oh, there goes CC. He back. See you back, bro. You good? I can't hear you. See? All right, so see going through some technical difficulties right now, but
What happens, man, when you cross that barrier? Now he like,
right. But so what are some practices that we have as brothers that you think that would be great if they were kind of more widespread amongst men in general?
Yeah, man. So we do our what is like quarterly. We get together, man, and just have dinner with one another around major holidays, events, or just if we haven't done it in a while, man. We just try to go out. Like it is never anywhere major. It might be Landmark or Iron Hill or something like that. We just make sure that we spend quality time with one another, talking as brothers. So I think that's real important. We find things that we have in common and we do them together, man. Like, so that's me and you playing fantasy football, Reese, or playing ball on Saturdays, or serving in ministry together, or being in the group chat talking about nothing, right? Like, making sure that we connect our lives, because people, once you grow up, it's just hard to connect with people. So making sure that we connect our lives with one another is real important, to find those common places that we can spend time. And then the other thing is, man, we give each other grace. Like, we don't talk every day. Like, we just can't talk every day. It's real. Y'all got kids. C got like 900 of them. Married. I'm working, got multiple jobs, like all that stuff that's going on. Like, you can't always just get on the phone and kick it. So making sure that we have grace to one another to say, like, man, if I ain't talked to you in 2 weeks, I'm not going to be like, oh, you this crappy brother, he ain't called me every single day since then. Like, no, we catch up exactly where we left off. And if that time gets too long, the check-in is never spiteful or malicious. It's just like, hey, man, I haven't spoken to you. I want to make sure you're okay. So like that's always been real important to me, that my relationship with my brothers has felt like one that it's always been empowering, and not something that's felt like somebody's lording over me.
Yeah. See, can you hear us? See, I see your lips moving. I'm not sure what. Maybe it's the AirPods that you're trying to talk through. So I don't know if you have like a wired mic or something like that. That may be beneficial. Or if you could try to sign in from your cell phone, that might be beneficial. Um, but yeah, that's a big thing. So like, just spending time together is a big thing, like real time, and not again. Oh well, if it's a mutual event, I'll see you. I think that's a big thing that we do as brothers that are good. Just sometimes saying I love you, man. Leaning on one another. All right, see, I think you back.
Can you hear me?
Yes, sir. But I can't
Can't
see
hear
you
me.
now. Yeah, but I can't see you.
All right, so
All right,
you
there
can
we
hear
go. I
me though.
got you. Yeah, you back.
Right.
Somebody said that's what happens
And,
when you have an iPhone.
and I heard the chump that was trying to beat me up for about 15 years. All that,
3-3, bro. 3-3.
I heard all that with the 900 kids and all that. It's all good. The competitiveness is real. Just know that. This remember, I'm like Eddie Kane. You ain't me. Okay.
Yeah. See, before you got signed off, see, I was saying, what are some practices that we have as brothers that you would like to see other men adapt?
Just doing things, going out, having fun, because our picture is bigger because it's the three of us, but we all have individual friends. I have friends that y'all close with. Y'all have friends that I'm close with. So that network is like you putting a bunch of men together to have fun and enjoy themselves. And even if Nate is listening, I'm gonna tell you right now, I would never take Nate ever again nowhere with me ever again on your 21st birthday. I would never take him again, ever. So I hope you're listening, because you'll never get another invite. You already messed up the whole thing. But just building together as a bunch of men, and y'all friends are my friends, so I don't see no difference in when I come around, and I don't show no difference when I'm around them. It's just love. So I guess men can start adapting their own group and start doing things together, and just having fun, enjoying life instead of being angry all the time. Just start trusting in one another.
How about in the tough times? What are some things that we do, like when things are rough? So like around the time that Dad passed away, or if me and Mill get into an argument, or if me and you get into an argument, what are some things that we have done that you think would be beneficial for other people?
Basically, when you got to have a sit down, because you got to iron out differences, and just to sit there to be the referee of y'all two arguments is funny, because
it's never
looking
two
at it
arguments.
like,
you got to tell the truth. There's always one person arguing with me.
Here we go. Here we go.
It's
If
a
somebody
two-way
watching,
street.
y'all know how Mill get on the ball court. Y'all ain't gonna do this to me.
I'm always chilling, man. He always mad.
But just have a sit down and your conversations and ironing out your differences, because everything is not a fist fight. We could go outside and knock each other heads off from here to tomorrow, but it's not going to solve anything, and it's not going to equate it to nothing. So only thing it's going to do is make you more hateful, and I can't stand him now. And then if whoever lose, really going to feel the aftermath. Like I think Reese still feeling that prom picture from the busted lift.
That wasn't me, y'all. That was
It's all love, man. We good.
But yeah, I got the bloody nose. Yeah, let's put it out there with the one glove on. Yeah, we can have all that, but if you can't iron out your differences, and you just can't sit here and say, okay, that is my brother, because at the end of the day, you have differences, and you're not going to speak to him for some nutty stuff that happened over a girl, over a car, or over money, or whatever. There's no need to be friends if you can't iron out your differences and correct each other from each other's faults. I'm not perfect. I get chastised damn near, once a week, or by my biggest sister. She corrects everybody, so I know I'm just as guilty as the next one, because she'll sit there and say, well, you got to do such and such and such and such. And I'll be like, here we go again with this shit, but.
Hey, man, I'm trying to run the PG-13 show here.
But I apologize, but that's one of the things that you got to sit there and say, because I know I'm not the only one who get it. But if you can't correct it, your flaws, or be receptive to someone correcting you about your flaws, then there's no reason to be friends or stay. Oh, that's my friend. But if I'm telling you your flaws, you got to be receptive to it.
You know what's crazy too? Like, and I don't like, those of us who know us know this, but like, we're real different. Like, as three brothers, like, man, our personalities are wildly different when you go from one to the next. Side note, I've argued with Reese C argue with Reese. I've never argued with C though. So I just want to put that out there. There's only one person that can argue with.
So Reese is the common denominator.
Common denominator.
My boy Adam done said I had the referee
real talk.
You see Katrina? Hey Trina, cut that out.
It's that real talk. So I wanted to put that out there, but I digress. But like we're real different, man. And relationships are work, so like our difference is like that doesn't matter, man, because my brotherhood is more important to it. So we work to make sure that we have strong relationships, and that whether that's C sending us some sort of angry text message, man, because whenever we argue, we get like an angry message from C telling us to like cut the SHIT out, and we're gonna talk about it right now. I'm like, come on, C, man, stop typing to me in all caps. Then he like riding up to the house, like I'm coming to get y'all. We gonna go talk this through right now. I'm like, come on, bro. But like that, he puts in that work. To say like we're gonna make sure that this brotherhood remains strong, and if you don't put in the work to get it done, it's just not gonna happen.
Yeah. You know, y'all said it all. I don't even got nothing to say after that. You guys said it all. You just realizing that the relationship, like my Aunt Mary said, the relationship isn't disposable, and whatever difference we may be having is the way I value you as a person, the way I value you as a brother, the way I value you as a friend is greater than any differences that we may be having at this moment. And if I gotta wait a couple hours till I cool off some, then so be it. But we ain't about to sit here and walk around and not be friends and not be brothers. We got to get through this. And that's one thing I really appreciate you for, see, because like you ain't letting that, like Mill said, you ain't letting that linger, bro. Like something going on, and see, like, look, I'm coming down right now. We gonna talk this out. I'm like, shh, man. So I do appreciate that about you, man. And for the record, I am not an argumentative human being. I'm a very, very calm, God-fearing, God-fearing, chill guy. I am.
You don't got friends in the bind, Reese. You don't got.
So yeah, so I got 3 minutes left. So I got one surprise question that I prepared for y'all that I didn't sing y'all. So you're about to have this one right here. I'm put it up on the screen. Who the best athlete?
Oh, this is not even a question, bro. It's not even a question. C passes prom. Reese never hit his prom because of his bad. So I don't even know what we're talking about here.
And you're a hack. You are a full-fledged $9.99 Ginsu knife. You play like it's game 7. You know, it's down to the wire. You gonna beat the old man up. And that's fine. I've never had to play you ever again. I just played you just because you're my brother, and I didn't want to keep hearing your mouth and these sob stories. Oh, you cheated the first game. Oh, you did this. Listen, a win is a win. No matter how you look at it, I don't owe nothing to you. You know, so if I beat you, I don't get nothing out of this. But you got everything to lose.
It's 3-3.
If I beat you.
Don't let them cap y'all up. It's 3-3.
So what are you?
Game 7.
What are you going to win or get out of beating me?
It's 3-3 right now. That's all I know. And
okay, answer the question.
One of your answer the question. On asterisks next to it.
What are you going to get out of beating me?
Everything I.
Okay, so right.
Listen, how many years you got on Mills? See,
14.
Not
14
enough.
years.
14 years. I have nothing to prove. When you have nephews, listen, you have nephews you could compete with.
I ain't playing.
You know, you don't have to get. You just adamant about getting this win, getting your little stats back up. Now it's an even game. Hey, listen, I don't have to ever play you again. The last game you beat me up. I thought you was Mike Tyson.
Don't know the story. C got all 3 of his wins while I was between the ages of 16 and 21. and then he took a 10-year hiatus from playing me and then said I'm too old to play. What am I supposed to do about that?
Listen. Look at this comment right here. I don't know if Mill the best, but that's the only time I seen him mad. She ain't never seen me mad because I'm the chill brother. I don't do nothing. Look, I got Mill Lambeer. Mill Lambeer. Mill play bad boy Pistons type ball. Look, look at that. Mill, CC, I agree. Mill play gel ball. Look at that. Only comment you guys support with your wife. Only comment you guys support with your wife. All I'm trying to say is, look, the people have spoken. Mill's a hat.
But I was raised in a different era. Y'all play Steph Curry ball, man. I was raised in the 90s.
Ball. Listen, you are a full-fledged hat.
Listen, all I know is the question was who the best athlete, and if we stick into the best athlete, it go me and then debatable. I don't know.
You have no accolades. You have no trophies. You have nothing. I have all the accolades. And you just have it in your genes, but I have all the accolades, all the accomplishments from the ball and the football and so forth. You're just underneath there. So I have nothing to lose by losing to you. It'd be an honor to me to lose to you because that's what you deem to be. I've got to beat my big brother, but not beat him up. Beat him, not beat him up. Not coming out with a black eye. Not like I just fought Tyson.
Y'all can rest assured,
you know,
when I beat CC in this game 7, not if, when I beat C in this game 7, I'm going to step over him like AI and Teron Lue. And then after I walk away, I'm going to come back and help him up.
Hey, listen. You don't have to worry about all that because I might not ever play you again. You got nephews to compete against. That's it. You might as well go ahead and play them. You know, my chucks is hung up. I had my last layup. I'm cool. That last game, listen, back hurt, eye hurt. You know, I was walking around with a neck brace for 2 weeks from you.
guys, I really, really appreciate you guys coming on, man. I do, man. It was real. I knew that last question was going to be a way to end on a fun note, and believe it or not, I'm actually better than both of you guys. But you know, it's fun to watch people. Look at that. Reese is right on time. Reese is the best, bad knee and all. Look at that, right on time, right before we sign out. No rebuttal. I'm the master. Thank you guys for everybody. Thank you guys for everybody.
You and your nephew, before you hang up, you and your nephew is the only two that hurt yourself on the basketball court. Yeah, how about that? You and Scooty.
Thank you guys for watching. Thank you guys for chiming in. Thank you guys for your comment. Mill C, I love y'all, man. Thank you guys for coming on with me.
Love y'all.
You guys are great. This was an awesome conversation. Somebody just hearted that Reese is the best bad knee in the net, bad knee and all comment. So that's how I know it's true. And
girlfriend.
Thank you.
Comments.
But thank you guys. Love y'all. I appreciate y'all. Check back in next week, guys. I'll be announcing my next episode. Again, if you have any suggestions for topics, if you have a desire to be a panelist on, reach out to me, text me, message me, whatever, and we can work something out. Thanks again, man. Love you guys. Thank you. Signing off. Peace.
Peace.
And we